Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to goldradio.fm. Available online at housestreet.com, talkdigitalnetwork.com. Welcome to goldradio.fm, podcasting in 0.99995. I'm Jim Goddard. My guest is Martin Armstrong, founder of Armstrong Economics, available online at armstrongeconomics.com. He's speaking to us from Florida. Martin, welcome to goldradio.fm.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Martin, what's the latest on your book, Manipulating the World Economy, the Rise of Modern Monetary Theory, and the Inevitable Fall of Classic Economics? Is there an alternative?
Well, it just keeps selling out. We're hoping to have some more backup. I think it's now in the fifth edition. Going up to Amazon. So hopefully it'll be out there before Christmas. The other one was the Cycle of War, which I finished in May. And because on the cover it has Bill Gates and George Soros, they just delayed it, and they finally sent me my copy the day of the election, November 3rd. So they just didn't want to out, I think, before the election. They're really doing an awful lot of censorship on everything imaginable these days.
Can you tell us about who or what Socrates is?
Well, Socrates is the only fully functioning artificial intelligence system actually in the world. It is monitoring all the world economies. It writes reports itself on over 1,000 different instruments around the world every day without any human intervention whatsoever. So we even, we publish even in China, where we do all the Chinese stocks there too. It is interesting from the standpoint that you have Klaus Schwab claiming the fourth industrial revolution. They have to destroy the economy to make sure it's built correctly. Well, here you have an artificial intelligence system that he says is the future, and it basically says that they're going to fail. Their grand scheme to take over the world with this great reset is not going to work.
Socrates is predicting that Canada, Europe, and Australia are moving into another Great Depression going into 2022. Can you tell us what Socrates sees?
Yeah, it's unfortunately what these people are doing is they've used this virus as really the staging ground for the Great Reset. And you can see the media is all involved and stuff, and they really have terrorized a lot of people. And you see them, say, oh, now 1 million people have died. Well, 1.3 million people die every year in car crashes. And far more people than that die from mosquito bites, the various different diseases that they carry. So, it's being really played up for this Great Reset. And then they stand up and they say, oh, this is a wonderful opportunity for us now to do this. They've been preaching lockdowns, and this isn't to make us safe. They're destroying the economy. You just look at cities like London, New York. A third of the small businesses are gone. This new round of lockdown it's not going to be 4 to 6 weeks. You had Bill Gates just on Bloomberg radio saying that, oh, this is going to have to last another 4 to 6 months. They're deliberately shutting down the economy, and this is so they can rebuild it in their vision. And you can go to our site. They have their little promo, their 8 predictions for 2030. And this is a communist revolution. Their number one is that you will own nothing and you'll be happy. And I know there's been some leaks and some letters in Canada, and Trudeau's had to come out and deny them. But, basically what they're saying is true. I mean, their plan is really to eliminate all debt, because this is the real issue. The government has been borrowing year after year since World War II. They've taken interest rates artificially down. They can't sell any more debt. And, Keynesian economics has completely failed. So, I've been arguing at least, let's take the debt and make it perpetual and raise the interest rate to 3%. But, that would at least leave our capitalistic system intact. Instead, they're going with Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum, because they see this old climate change, we have to change everything. And, they're not giving the people any democratic right to vote about this. They're just doing it. And this is it. And so, to eliminate the federal debts of all of these countries, this is what they're saying: you will own nothing and you'll be happy. Because they have to default on all this debt. I've been warning people, this is the collapse of socialism. And people say, oh no, I'm wrong, it's capitalism. No, it's socialism, because they can no longer afford all these pensions and programs. So all that will be erased, and you'll just get the guaranteed basic income that they want to provide. That's it. So, the economy, they are destroying. I mean, GDP is down at least a third, and it will go down more than 50% on a global scale. And they're going to keep us locked down again going into 2021. And I was given a internal memo from Germany. Now, their elections are next August. And this memo is covering how they can postpone the elections using COVID. So, obviously, there's no way this is going to go away. You got the same problems in Canada with Trudeau. I mean, even the U.S. elections. I mean, this has been nothing but the biggest fraud ever in history. I mean, it's crazy. They caught a guy trying to register 8,000, dead people in California, 400 over here. They caught one guy. I mean, basically what it means is that I think in our wills we should basically put a clause in there, who do we intend to vote for when we're dead? Because they just keep putting in people who are dead and they vote forever. I mean, it's your civic duty to vote for the next two or 300 years, I suppose. So it's just crazy. I mean, Trump has stood against this climate change and pretty much all the rest of their agendas. This is why it's been so intense in trying to remove him. And you look at their 8 predictions, number 2 is the United States will no longer be a superpower. It will be shared among nations. What they want to do is hand everything, the nuclear arsenal of the United States, and hand it to the United Nations. This is George Soros's, one world government sort of thing. I mean, this is serious. I mean, these people really are doing everything they possibly can to push this forward.
What exactly is the Great Reset, and is it leading to worldwide economic destruction?
Yeah, I mean, it is communism 3.0. The only people that will, in their mind, that will own anything are the super elite. If you take the number one thing, you will own nothing and you'll be happy because they're going to eliminate all debt. Now, you eliminate all debts, that's mortgages, etc. You're wiping out the banks. This is why big tech, you see Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, why are they censoring people and going absolutely crazy? Because they all are going to replace the banks. Twitter has Square. Facebook, same thing, moving into, trying to create that. Google, just came out, it's been in Forbes. They're setting up their Google Play and accounts now to be a checking account. So you're eliminating all the banks. And I can tell you personally, I had opened an account at Bank of America because it was just a few blocks away from my house. COVID came, they shut that down. It didn't reopen. Out of maybe 10 branches of Bank of America around here, I think only one survived. That's it. They know what they're doing. The banks should know what's coming. They're eliminating physical offices. This is all part of the collapse of the world economy, and this is the great reset that's coming.
Is Canada being used as a case study for world government?
I don't know if it's being used as a case study, but Trudeau is already came out publicly and even said that he's signed on to this Agenda 2030. And just like I said, you can go to our site. We copied his Klaus Schwab's video, What is 2030? And eliminating meat, ending fossil fuels. He said, meat production will end, and once in a while you'll get it like a treat, as if you're a dog. They are eliminating elections. We're basically just the great unwashed, and we're too stupid to know what's best for us. They all know what is really best for the planet and for us, and it's best that we just shut up and sit down and watch TV.
Is this also what's behind the push for people to get rid of pets?
Yeah, in Europe they said all of a sudden that, minks have COVID. They're killing 17 million. Why? They're starting to put out that, dogs can get COVID and spread it. So what, they want to, kill all dogs next too? These people are ruthless. This is no different than Karl Marx, Lenin, all of them. And Hitler and Napoleon, they had similar ideas. The world peace if I conquer everything. This is what they're doing. It's just open your eyes and look at what's happening.
Is the push by the Trudeau government for the Great Reset agenda likely to be the cause of a depression in Canada?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that it certainly is going to accelerate perhaps even the separatist movement, West versus East. In the United States, I think that you're going to end up in civil war. It's just the way it's happening. You take the Black Lives Matter. The Democrats encouraged it, all right? And they did that to get rid of, they thought they could use this to turn Trump into this racist. And then, stupidly, they think, okay, fine, we win and we'll put it back in the bottle like it's a genie. It's not going back in. I posted a video. There was a guy, they were harassing his house, and he said, I voted for Biden. Here's my Biden sign. And, they're out there basically just, saying to him that he's a racist and don't tell us, how to protest. It's not going away. This is just going to get worse.
We'll have more with Martin Armstrong right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Martin Armstrong. Martin, what's the difference between a recession, a severe recession, and a depression?
The depression is from the 1930s. What really made it so bad was the fact that people don't really look at what happened, because the history books were all basically just propaganda. I stumbled upon Herbert Hoover's memoirs. Found a book over in London, and it turned out it was very rare because he didn't want to make money from it. So he told Macmillan that they shouldn't make a profit, and they printed 500, and that was it. But in there he had basically all the evidence. There was a sovereign default. Most of Europe defaulted, Asia defaulted, South America defaulted for the third time. So you destroyed the bond market. All right. Stock market goes down. That will create maybe a recession. All right. The depression is when you wiped out capital formation, and that most of the money is invested in bonds. All right. So it's about 10-to-1 to equities. So when you wiped out all the bondholders, that's what creates a depression. And that's what we risk now, because they're really going to wipe out government debts. And so all your pension funds, all that disappears. And, then they think they can replace that just by handing out this guaranteed basic income. And that really is the strategy. They can't continue. The central banks have lost everything. They said that the ECB lowered rates to negative in 2014. After 6 years of quantitative easing, whatever, they still could not stimulate the economy. That's why I said Keynesian economics has collapsed. So we're not looking at a recession going into 2022. We're looking at a real significant depression, because the longer the people do not wake up, more and more small businesses are going to be destroyed, and they employ 70% of the civil workforce. So there'll be no place to go to. I mean, just look at malls and stuff. You go to a mall, a third of the stores are gone already. So what is the new normal? The new normal is going to be like East Germany. That's it.
How do gold markets respond during a depression?
Largely, it depends what they do. You go back to the 30s, they went after gold because they were going to change it from a complete different type of system. All right. So what I warn people about, I think I'm bearish on gold. It's more bearish on the people, that are in power. I would not store gold in a storage facility or in a bank. In the 30s, when they confiscated gold, that a lot of people hear about, if you had gold in a bank, it was gone. Forget it. They didn't come knocking on everybody's door and say, hey, give me all your $20 gold pieces. But if it was in a facility that they knew about, they took it. I think that is the risk this time as well. You had a woman just from Canada crossed the border, went down to San Francisco. She had $30,000 worth of gold. They confiscated it. This is it. You're getting to the point you can't travel with it. Certainly on an airplane or something like that. And you got to be careful, because these people are just really ruthless.
How could mining and gold mining in Canada be affected by a depression?
Depends what they're going to do. And it certainly looks as though this idea of you'll own nothing, etc., that basically means also you wipe out the stocks. And these dual corporations, public corporations still exist. It's very hard to say. These people, I don't think they're going to be successful. But that doesn't mean we're not going to have a lot of turmoil and civil unrest between now and 2022.
If the U.S. recovery continues under a second Trump term, could the price of gold in U.S. dollars remain relatively stable, while in Canada, Europe, and Australia, currencies lose value, causing the price of gold in their currencies to rise significantly.
Yes, I mean, we're seeing signs of it already on the capital flows. They're kind of like dancing around back and forth. Trump has a legitimate shot at winning here, and they're filing suits, in all these swing states. If the election cannot be certified by the Electoral College, then it gets thrown into the House. That's what Trump is really shooting for. If it gets thrown into the House of Representatives, each state gets only one vote. It's not the 400 some odd members. It's each state. If you look at it, Trump would win. There's 37 states that are Republican. So, either way, we're looking at civil unrest coming up. If Trump loses, that side's going to go after the other side. Or Trump wins, the other side. So we're looking at major civil unrest. But the critical thing is that if Trump wins, he is staying against Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and Europe. So you will see capital flow into the U.S., and I would say, honestly, if he wins, you're probably better off getting as much into the States, at least for the next couple of years, and we see what happens.
Are gold stocks likely to be a good hedge against currency devaluation?
As long as there's still a free market. In the 30s, they basically just seized a lot of the gold production. But that's because they were using gold as a monetary instrument. They will not do that again. So it's more of a question of they're against any alternative to their own digital currencies, which they're pushing out very rapidly. So cryptocurrencies, they will automatically just convert to the government and seize all that. What is conversion rate? It's their discretion. They also know about gold. And I know, at least 3 gold refiners have told me what's going on. They have to account for every ounce coming in and every ounce that goes out. Where it went, that is all being reported to the government. I would suggest for those that would like to have at least a little bit of a hedge that you could use, go after the pre-1964 and older silver coins. You have to look at this from not your perspective, but somebody else's. I mean, there are, videos on YouTube. Somebody was offered a chocolate bar or a bar of silver and they took the chocolate. The average person doesn't know. You give them a silver bar, they're not going to know if it's really silver or nickel. If you give them a silver quarter and they can look at the date, oh, okay, yeah, I know these are worth something. I think just looking at it from that perspective of actually being able to use something in an underground economy per se, I would say it's probably going to be silver coins.
We'll have more with Martin Armstrong right after this.
Value from success. Growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
You're listening to goldradio.fm. Available online at housestreet.com, talkdigitalnetwork.com. Welcome back. We're speaking with Martin Armstrong. Martin, what does Socrates see ahead for gold in 2021?
Basically, it's gold is going to rise in terms of dollars. All right. What we have to be careful about is the risk of confiscation. It's not just gold, but it's just looking at their 2030 agenda. And I don't think they're going to be successful. I mean, this is absurd. They're never going to be able to get China and Russia to acquiesce to their, surrender their sovereignty as the West seems to be so eager to. to the United Nations. So I think your precious metals will still be a hedge against this sort of thing. I don't think we're going to end up in this communism 3.0 on a global scale. It's going to fail. The reason communism fails is that it has no respect for either human rights or human ingenuity. I recommend a movie called Mr. Jones. It's about the New York Times back then was really championing Stalin. The media is always communistic, period. And when they confiscated all the property, all the farms, then the decision when to plant, what to do, becomes a bureaucratic decision, all right? It's the farmer that knows how to do this, all right? Once you eliminated those people, the bureaucrats didn't know what they were doing. So what happened, communism, they were starving. So Stalin stole all the food from Ukraine, brought it up to Russia to pretend that communism was working. 7 million people died of starvation in Ukraine. That's what the movie's about. I mean, this is what we're facing. These people want to take the decisions of all these different things, and they think they can decide how the economy should work. It is impossible. That's why communism, I call this 3.0, because every time it is attempted, they fail to understand human ingenuity. It is the people who create things, not government.
Does Socrates like gold or silver better for 2021?
I think probably still more on the silver side.
Why?
Mainly, I think the gold-silver ratio went to an all-time record high there, and it's been coming down. I think just from a practical standpoint of being able to use it, I think silver is probably more practical. I mean, if you got an ounce of gold and you want to buy a cup of coffee, how are they going to give you change? Whereas you can pull out a silver quarter or something, and maybe that's then worth the $5 price for a Starbucks cup of coffee.
What does Socrates see ahead for the U.S. dollar in 2021?
It's still showing that the dollar can take up and rise very dramatically. So it's in the computer was projecting that Trump should win, but we put out a report on the election, and the computer has never been wrong, and it was showing that it was a tight race and it'd be razor thin, and which was counter what everybody else was forecasting, that Biden was 12% ahead, 25% ahead, was going to be a blue wave. Our computer was right again. I mean, so I don't see it at this stage in the game. I think that Trump can pull it out, because the computer's showing that the dollar has not broken. It's hanging very close to key support, but it looks like it's preparing to take off. And whereas the British pound, Japanese yen, they look like that's warmed over.
What would a depression likely look like in Canada, and how long could it last?
These people have seriously destroyed the world economy. And you have to look at it from a global perspective. The best thing we had was that the U.S. was the largest consumer economy in the world. As long as that prevailed, then it was behooving upon China. Nobody wants war. What are you going to do with war? All right, nobody wants to occupy anybody anymore. Now, once you destroy the economy as they are doing, then all of a sudden that impacts China. All right, China no longer has the avenue to sell stuff to the U.S. consumer. Same thing from Europe. So you're crashing the world economy, and it's not going to come back. They have done serious damage already. And this new round of lockdowns is most likely going to take the economy, world GDP, down by at least 50% by 2022. So it's not going to look pretty. It's not going back to normal. You have Fauci coming out saying that masks are going to be necessary from here on out. I mean, I bought a box of the masks from Amazon, and it says right on there, they will not prevent any disease. And when this whole thing started, there's a video out on YouTube, they haven't removed it, where Fauci said masks do nothing. Then all of a sudden we have to have masks and social distancing forever. This is to prevent civil unrest. That's all it's about.
Has Canada started the downhill slide into depression?
Yes. I mean, I think the entire world has begun. And we don't see this doing very well. I mean, I think that the West is losing everything we worked so hard for since World War II. These people are destroying, and I don't see this ever getting back to where we were.
If you lived in Canada now with the threat of a depression on the horizon, what would you do?
Well, you have to see what's going to happen. If the West tends to be a little bit better than the East in Canada, if those are, I know a lot of them looking to move out to the United States, I would go to the South. Look at Texas, Florida. Stay away from California, New England. If the U.S. splits, it's probably going to be the South and Midwest against everybody else on both sides. But it's bad that this election was not really a vote for Biden. I mean, so many people voted for Biden only because they hated Trump. And then you have, with all the dead people voting or whatever, the popular vote that Biden can claim is 50.5. That's it. And then you have Pelosi standing up and saying, "Oh, we have a mandate to change the economy." I mean, this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I know people like Bill Kristol, whatever. I mean, they want war in the Middle East. They are against Trump because he created peace. I mean, they don't want that.
We're in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. If we want to stay in BC and be safe and free during a depression or even a severe recession, where would the best places to live be?
It's hard to say. You have to really rise up against the governments wherever they're extreme left. And I think you got a good shot there, Alberta, et cetera. I think the more they push, these lockdowns on people, then, more and more people are going to start to look at what's happening here. This is not going back to normal. This is deliberately attempting to destroy the economy.
What could we do to stop the push towards communism in Canada, and could the 2022 Great Depression be avoided?
I don't think it can be avoided because we're looking at significant damage that's already been done. But people are rising up. They're beginning to see it. I mean, you're looking at a lot more protests rising up in Europe, things of this nature. I mean, this is what's unfortunately what's in our future. I mean, we've got to stop this insanity of this Great Reset.
Does Socrates see a turning point for this push towards a one-world communist government?
Yes, I don't see them, Socrates does not see this as being a successful move. Unfortunately, I would say there is a high risk of world conflict, international war, that risk factor will start coming into play after 2024, probably most likely 25 to 27.
Do depressions provide opportunities?
Normally yes, but this is more like the Russian Revolution. So it's hard to say that there is opportunity per se. This is getting to the point where like you saw the Dow starting to take the lead again. That's when big capital is just parking, all right? And sometimes you get to the point where It's not that, the Dow is not rising because people think that, the vaccine is going to work and everything's going back to normal. It's not the case. You get in these stages where capital just wants to park wherever I think I can at least get my money back. It's not a question of how much do I make. It's now capital preservation.
How do countries get out of a depression?
Usually it takes some sort of a revolution. It can be, bloodless revolution or violent. It depends upon actually the police. I've studied these things many times. You have to get the police on your side. You take Russia, for example, in 91. Yeltsin stood up on the tank and said, "Don't fire on our people." The government then fell. You look at Venezuela. As long as the police and the military continue to support the government, then they will prevail and they will abuse people. I was advising, in Ukraine, and the same thing. I told them, look, Yanukovych is bringing in Russians to help him keep power. You've got to turn your local Ukrainian police to let them see it's foreigners that Yanukovych is using. Once they did and the police joined the people, then he had to flee the country. So that's the key. As long as the police, because in this stage, they're really, honestly, brain dead. If they're going to support the government, they should look at what is happening here. They're selling their own families down the river. That's it. They're not going to have anything to go back to either. So, this is really what you see in the States that has been moving with this defunding police, because they're not stupid. They know that, the average policeman is going to turn against the government, because they also lose. So that's the real key. This is why they're really trying to say, defund the police. It's got nothing to do with other than trying to get rid of the weak links so that they can use military power more than anything else.
Does Socrates think the Trudeau government will be successful in turning Canada into a communist country?
No. You have a risk that Trudeau may even try to suspend the elections like Germany does. I suspect that they are all into the same agenda. And if you look around, they're all using exactly the same slogan, building back better. That's coming from Johnson in London. Biden had it. Trudeau says everyone, so they're all on the same agenda, and it's all coming out of the World Economic Forum.
What does Socrates see happening to the Canadian economy?
Pretty much the same thing as that, with everybody else. We're looking at this in a serious decline into 2022.
What does Socrates see happening to Canadian real estate?
Pretty much the same thing. There you do have a different trend in the sense that people are fleeing the urban centers and moving more towards the rural side. And so property is declining, like, you see it in New York, Miami, but, you go out and, I have friends in New Jersey and they've had houses up for sale and people are coming in and bidding over their asking price just to get it.
If Canada ends up in a depression and the U.S. is thriving, how difficult would it be for Canadians to move to the U.S.?
Look, they always change these rules and regulations all the time. I don't think the U.S. is going to be thriving, per se, but if Trump is in, it will not capitulate as the rest of the Western culture is doing.
Are people waking up to the Great Reset and how it ties into the lockdowns, face masks, control, and economic destruction?
In Europe, definitely. I think in North America, we are behind. We don't really look at it, and anybody that's trying to say something, that's a conspiracy theory. And it's very nice, because what they're doing is you say, this is what's going to happen, communism 3, that's conspiracy theory. So they don't have to answer the question. They don't have to admit or deny. That's really what's going on. So they use that as a catch-all to prevent having to explain anything.
Where does the United Nations and the World Health Organization fit into all this?
I mean, World Health Organization even says, it's climate change. They're all merging the same thing. They're using climate change and the virus to justify really what they're doing is taking over the world into this communism 3.0. You have a really quite a disgusting thing, but I mean, you have Prince Charles, who I think is effectively shown that he's not qualified to be a monarch. He's out there pitching their agenda, and saying, oh, this is a rare opportunity. We have to take advantage of it, destroy the entire world economy and build it back green. I mean, it's very nice. He's got his gold spoon in his mouth and he won't have to really do anything. But the rest of this, we lose everything.
Throughout history, has evil tried to rule the world?
It seems to be, it's maybe part of the cycle that you go back and forth all these times. When we had the American Revolution, this slogan was no taxation without representation. We're right back to no representation again. These people we elect, they just look at Biden. He basically preached one side, and as soon as he wins, he starts bringing in completely the opposite. This is what's wrong with our forms of government, the Republican. And I believe more in a real democracy, where to make a decision like this, the people vote, not some representative of the people, because they never represent us.
It looks like awareness of worldwide election fraud is growing. Could the uncertainty of governments around the world being legitimate or illegitimate be a boon for the gold market?
I think it's basically largely underlying for the rising civil unrest and eventually perhaps international war. And it just really depends upon what these governments are going to do, or if they try and seize mines and things of this nature, which is, they've done stuff like that before. So as long as I look at history from the standpoint that if they've done it before, they'll try it again.
If the 1980 high for gold was adjusted for real inflation, what would the price be now?
In terms of probably about, I would say $3,500 to $4,000.
Tax loss season is just around the corner. Could it be a good time to look at gold stocks?
I think the political unrest side is so bad that you got to just be careful. There may be a lot of selling going into year end, unless, we got to get to the electoral college. If that is unable to certify, then, people will then look at this, that Trump will be, able to stay. If he loses that, you're liable to see a lot of selling because Biden has already said he's going to repeal all the Trump, tax benefits, everything. So if you're sitting there with a whole bunch of profits, you're better off taking them now, this year. Don't wait for next year.
Stronger lockdowns are being imposed on the people of British Columbia and the people of Canada due to COVID-19. The chief medical health officers promote an in-the-future vaccine, yet don't tell people how they can boost their immune systems. Could this or should this be a crime?
Look, this is all just complete propaganda. I myself ended up being tested 5 times. And when I told that to a doctor I knew, he says, yeah, but it doesn't matter because the tests aren't valid anyhow. I mean, the masks don't work, the tests aren't valid. What is going on here? I mean, more people have died from the flu and talking about, oh, maybe 10 million people. I mean, just look at the 2017 flu, 40-some million people had it. I mean, this is nothing yet. I mean, and it's really just a blip, and they're using it, and quite frankly, the timing of it is very suspicious. Because it was Fauci who was deliberately working on this virus created from bats. When he was told to shut it down, he sent it over to Wuhan and sent money to continue the research over there. But some 25 scientists over here warned that this was a dangerous thing that he was testing. And look, I doubt seriously that this was leaked, and China wouldn't have leaked it anyhow. I think somebody over there was just paid. That was it. And then they could blame China for it, and that's what's going on. It was too convenient. And I know the SEC filings show that Bill Gates started selling stocks in December. All right? The World Economic Forum sold all its stocks out because a virus was coming. Look, let's look at this. I mean, realistically. I mean, then Bill Gates is on TV, oh, we should be locked down. One person has COVID in a meat factory, shut it down. Everything that he has recommended, he has a profit at stake in. From vaccines to, he started, Beyond Beef, it's all the various different alternative meat, and this is part of the 2030 agenda. You will only, meat will become very rare, like a treat like for a dog. I mean, if I did what he did, I'd be in prison for multiple lifetimes. This is such an insider trading scam. I've never in my life seen anybody daring to do such a thing.
Could we be in for a showdown between the Great Reset and the Great Awakening?
Yes, I think so. I think a lot of people are starting to wake up. And I think you're going to see, for various reasons, but it's at least, I would say, you start pushing this, you have people in Alberta that lose everything. You go after all these fossil fuels. The same thing down in the South. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, I live in Florida. We have a Republican state. Yes, okay, fine. We had a little bit of a lockdown. Nothing dramatic. We're okay here. And maybe at most 5% of small stores went out. You go up to New York, it looks like a ghost town. They've deliberately destroyed as much as they possibly could.
Where can people find out more about your book and Armstrong Economics?
Go to armstrongeconomics.com. We provide it as a public service. You don't have to register. There's no ads. We don't sell advertising, so you don't have to keep clicking or get rid of ads all the time to try and read something. We're trying to make it as a public service and make it available for everybody around the world.
Martin, thank you so much for being on goldradio.fm.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
My guest has been Martin Armstrong, founder of Armstrong Economics, which you can find online at armstrongeconomics.com. You've been listening to goldradio.fm. If you have any questions for the show or our guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Comments made on goldradio.fm are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at howstreet.com, talkdigitalnetwork.com. goldradio.fm is a production of House Street Media Incorporated. Executive producer is Tom Allen.